Imagine this, an AI company that just a few years ago was relatively unknown to the general public is now reportedly projecting annual revenue of nearly 200 billion by 2028. Yes, 200 billion. If that projection became reality, this would not simply be a story of one successful AI company. It could be a sign that artificial intelligence is becoming one of the biggest commercial industries in the world. And at the center of this story is a company called Anthropic, the company behind Claude AI. But there is the biggest question: how is Anthropic planning to make so much money? Is it simply because millions of people are using Claude, or is the real money coming from somewhere else? And most importantly, can Anthropic really reach 200 billion in annual revenue by 2028? Today we are going to break down the entire story. What exactly is Anthropic? Anthropic was founded in 2021. Its founder included several former OpenAI employees. The company focused on developing advanced artificial intelligence systems that are not only powerful but also reliable and safer to use. Its most famous product is Claude. Claude is an AI assistant similar in some ways to ChatGPT and other AI systems. You can use Claude to answer questions, analyze documents, write and understand code, conduct research and create reports, and help with complicated business tasks. But Anthropic is not focusing only on ordinary consumers. One of its biggest target is businesses, and that could be one of the biggest reason behind its rapid growth. Where does Claude's money actually come from? Now, here is something very important to understand. When we hear about AI companies, we often assume their money comes mainly from millions of ordinary subscriptions. But Anthropic's business is much more focused on the enterprise market. Companies are using Claude for software development, customer service, research, data analysis, internal operations, and many other tasks. And this creates a completely different revenue opportunity. Imagine a large company with 10,000 employees. If that company gives AI tools to its employees, it could generate significant subscription revenues. But imagine something much bigger. What if the company integrates Claude directly into its software systems? What if Claude helps its developers write code? What if it analyzes customers' email? What if it summarizes thousands of documents? What if it helps employees find information? And what if it becomes part of the company's everyday workflow? Now, AI is no longer just a chatbot. It becomes part of the company's infrastructure. And that is where the real opportunity could be. Claude Code, a major game changer. Another extremely important part of Anthropic's growth is Claude Code. Claude Code is designed to help software developers work with code, and this could become a huge market. Think about the technology industry. There are millions of software developers around the world. If AI can help developers write code faster, understand large code bases, find bugs, create tests, and build new features, companies may be willing to spend serious money on these tools. Now imagine a large technology company with thousands of developers. If every developer using an AI coding assistant, the revenue potential becomes enormous. And this is why the AI competition is no longer similarly about which chatbot is smarter. The competition is increasing about which AI company becomes part of the way business actually works. from billions to tens of billions. Now, let's look at the numbers. According to reports, Anthropic's annualized revenue run rate crossed 47 billion May 2026, and by the end of July 2026, reports indicated that its annualized revenue run rate had crossed 65 billion. This is an extraordinary increase. But there is an important point here. Annualized revenue run rate is not the same thing as actual full year revenue. It basically takes the company's current place of revenue and projects it across an entire year. So, when we hear that Anthropic has a 65 billion annualized revenue run rate, it doesn't mean that Anthropic has already collected 65 billion in revenue during 2026. It means its recent revenue pace, if maintained for a full year, would amount to roughly that figure. Even with that distinction, the growth is still remarkable. And then came the 200 billion projection. Now we arrive at the most shocking number in this entire story: 190 billion to 200 billion. Report says Anthropic is projecting approximately 190 to 200 billion in revenue for 2028. Now think about that. If a company's annualized revenue run rate is already above 65 billion, how could it potentially reach 200 billion in just a couple of years? It could require enormous continued growth, and this is exactly where investors are paying so much attention to Anthropic. Investors are not only looking at how much money Anthropic makes today, they are looking at how large the AI economy could become by 2028 and beyond. Who is really buying AI? Here is another important point. The future of AI is not going to depend only on individual consumers. The enterprise market could be enormous. Think about banks, insurance companies, law firms, software companies, consulting firms, healthcare organizations, manufacturers, retail companies, and thousands of other businesses. Why are these companies interested in AI? Because AI is no longer just a tool that answers questions. It is increasingly becoming a tool that can perform work. For example, a company could use AI to analyze thousands of customers' emails. A lawyer could use AI to review large volumes of documents. A programmer could use AI to analyze an enormous code base. A marketing team could use AI to create campaigns. A financial analytics could use AI to analyze reports. And employees could use AI to find information inside a company's internal knowledge base. In other words, AI is becoming a productivity tool. And if a company believes AI can significantly increase employees' productivity, it may be willing to spend millions of dollars on it. Anthropic's biggest opportunity. This is where Anthropic's biggest opportunity could lie. If Claude remains simply a chatbot, the market is extremely competitive. But if Claude becomes part of a company's infrastructure, the business model changes completely. Imagine a company with 50,000 employees. Every employee has access to an AI assistant. The AI is connected to the company's documents. It works with the company's CRM. It helps developers write softwares. It supports customer service, it analyzes financial reports, and it helps manager make decisions. At that point, AI is no longer just another application. It has become a part of the company's daily operations. And this is exactly the future that enterprise AI companies are competing for. But reaching 200 billion won't be easy. Now we need to slow down for a moment, because a headline saying Anthropic expects 200 billion in revenue doesn't mean that 200 billion is guaranteed. It is a projection, and projection can be wrong. The AI industry is incredibly competitive, Anthropic faces some of the biggest technology companies in the world. There is OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, Meta, XAI, and many other AI companies around the world. All of them are developing increasingly powerful AI model. That means Anthropic has to continuously improve its technology, and improving AI models is not cheap. Training advanced models requires enormous amount of computing power. Serving millions of users also requires massive infrastructure. So Anthropic has to grow. Meanwhile, managing its cost. The biggest cost is computer. This is one of the most interesting part of AI business. Imagine you have 1 million users. Every user asks an AI system questions. Behind every answer, powerful computers are working. This is broadly known as inference. As the number of users increases, AI use increases and the complexity of the task increases. Computing cost can increase as well. And then there is model training. Training advanced AI systems can require enormous investments in computing infrastructure. So the AI business has a unique equation. Companies need to increase revenue, but they also need to control the enormous costs associated with developing and operating AI. 200 billion revenue doesn't mean 200 billion profit. This is extremely important. If Anthropic reaches 200 billion in revenue in 2028, that does not mean that company will make 200 billion in profit. Revenue and profit are completely different things. Revenue means how much money the company generates. Profit means how much money remains after expenses. AI companies can have huge expenses: servers, AI chips, data centers, electricity, researchers, engineers, model training, cloud infrastructure. All of these cost money. So investors are not only asking how much money will Anthropic generate, they are also asking how much profit can Anthropic eventually keep. That could be one of the most important questions for the company's future valuation. Why could Anthropic's IPO be so huge? Now, let's talk about the IPO. IPO stands for Initial Public Offering. It is when a private company offers shares to the public market for the first time. There is already enormous interest around the possibility of an Anthropic IPO. Reports suggest that the company's projected 2028 revenue could play an important role in how investors and bankers think about its potential valuation. Some market observers have even discussed the possibility of Anthropic eventually reaching $1 trillion plus valuation. But once again, we need to be careful. An IPO valuation is never guaranteed. Stock market conditions can change. AI growth could slow down. Competition could increase. Regulations could change. And investors may decide that high growth AI companies deserve lower valuation. So $1 trillion valuation scenarios are not guaranteed. Outcomes: Anthropic versus OpenAI. Now comes the obvious question: who will win the AI race? Anthropic or OpenAI? Nobody knows yet, but their strategies have some interesting differences. OpenAI built an enormous consumer brand through ChatGPT. Anthropic has developed a particularly strong position in enterprise and developer markets for Anthropic. Business are extremely important. Why? Because a simple enterprise customer can potentially spend thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars on AI tool and services. And if AI becomes deeply integrated into that company's operations, the relationship could last for years. This is similar to the traditional enterprise software business model. And Anthropic is trying to build AI around that opportunity. Can AI become a 200 billion company, one company? Now we come to the biggest economic question. Can the AI market really become large enough for a company like Anthropic to generate 200 billion in annual revenue? The answer depends on how deeply AI becomes integrated into the global economy. If AI remains mainly limited to chatbots, image generation, and basic productivity tools, then a 200 billion revenue projection could look extremely aggressive. But when if AI becomes deeply integrated into software development, customer services, finance, law, healthcare, education, research, manufacturing, cybersecurity, and business automation, then the total market could become enormous. And that is the bet investors are making. The rise of AI agents. Another concept is becoming increasingly important: AI agents. Today, you ask AI a question and it gives you an answer. But in the future, AI may not simply answer questions, AI may actually perform tasks for you. Imagine telling an AI, prepare this month's sales report. The AI could collect the data, analyze it, create charts, identify problems, and prepare the final report. Or imagine telling an AI, add this feature to our software. The AI could understand the code base, write the code, run the test, find errors, fix them, and prepare the final results for the developers. If AI agents can perform these kinds of tasks that massive scale, the economic value of AI could become much larger than today's chatbot market. And companies like Anthropic are competing to build exactly this future. What are the biggest risks? But there are serious risks as well. The first is competition. AI technology is developing increasingly quickly. A model that is considered the best today could be suppressed by another model tomorrow. Second, cost. If the cost of running AI system grows faster than revenue, then generating huge revenue may still not lead to strong profitability. Third, regulations. Governments around the world are considering rules covering AI safety, privacy, copyrights, security, and other issues. Fourth, customer concentration. If a large percentage of revenue comes from major enterprise customers, losing an important customer could have a meaningful impact. And finally, technology's risk. Nobody knows exactly how quickly AI technology will change over the next 2 years. The next breakthrough could completely change the competitive landscape. Then why are the investors willing to put so much money in Anthropic? Because the growth has been extraordinary in 2026. Anthropic reportedly raised 65 billions at a valuation of around 965 billion. And by the end of July, its annualized revenue run rate has reportedly crossed 65 billion. These numbers make investors ask a simple question. If AI adoption continues growing at this pace, how large could this market become over the next few years? That expectation is one of the major forces driving the enormous valuation being placed on leading AI companies. One thing we should always remember: there is one very important lesson in this entire story. A revenue projection is not a guarantee. Any company's future forecast can change. Today the projection may be 200 billion, tomorrow market condition could be completely different. Technology could change, competition could change, customer demand could slow down, or AI adoption could accelerate even faster than expected. So instead of saying Anthropic will make 200 billion in 2028, the correct statement is Anthropic has reportedly projected approximately 190 to 200 billion in revenue for 2028. That difference matters. Final message. So what does the Anthropic story really tell us? It tells us that the AI industry is moving far beyond chatbots. Artificial intelligence is becoming part of how business operates. A few years ago, AI was largely associated with research laboratories. Then come AI chatbots, then AI coding assistants, and now companies are trying to put AI directly into the core operations of business. Anthropic reported 190 to 200 billion 2028 revenue projection is one example of how enormous companies believe the AI economy could become. But the real question remains, can Anthropic actually reach that numbers? Can Claude become one of the world's most important enterprise AI platforms? Can Anthropic become a multi-trillion dollar company? And perhaps the biggest question of all, will artificial intelligence become one of the biggest economic revelation of the next decade? We don't know the final answer yet, but one thing is becoming clear, the AI race is no longer just a race for better technology. It is now a race for money, business, infrastructure, talent, customer, and global economic power. And Anthropic is one of the companies running at the front of that race. If you enjoy easy to understand deep dives into AI technology, business, and the future of global economy, make sure to subscribe because the next AI revolution isn't happening somewhere far away. It is happening right in front of us and it is happening right now. Thank you.